Okay, some other red flags to think about. And please, if you guys have any questions, ask them as we get to them. I think that's great. Employee has a history of previous claims. You may know about them through your company. Some of those red flags are for us because we do, we have a place where we can look those previous claims up and claims with other companies. I'm going to skip by this next one. We got to take that one out because I can't even find on disability if somebody just bought a disability policy. Time of the accident is outside normal working hours. If your normal working hour, trucking is different because your hours are 24 hours probably, but if it's normal 8 to 5 and your report says that this happened at 6:30, what were they doing out there? It could be completely reasonable, but they could have been on their own time too. How are you going to know what time that is? How about the doctor or the hospital? You know, when they were called, when an ambulance was called, or when they went to the hospital, what they tell the doctors. People are sitting there, what time did this happen? 8:30 last night. They don't even think about it. They're holding hands that have been maybe missing fingers or mangled or something, and they're telling the doctor the truth. They're not thinking about anything until they've been shot up with painkillers and they say, ooh, I better have this work comp. But they forgot to tell the doctor any different. That's really important. First notice of injury is from employee's lawyer. Not to insult attorneys, and is there any in here? Because I'm not insulting them. Many people have an attorney on retainer, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's, however, if the first person you call is your attorney, just gonna throw a red flag. For one thing, we can't talk to you anymore. Our claims examiner can't talk to the injured employee. I can't talk to them. I certainly can't call them. My private investigators can't knock on their door and do some kind of question to see if they're home. Did they get erased? Why did you use whiteout? Could be a perfectly good reason. I oftentimes sign my name where it says print. Those kind of things happen. An injured worker's listed occupation is different than the stated business. He says, I'm going to pick on roofers, and I apologize for that too. He says he's a roofer, but they have him listed as being something that it's costing a lot less. Whatever part of construction that might be, cleanup or that. But he tells you that what he's doing is roofing or heavy lifting. Injured worker cannot be reached because he or she is never home or is reportedly sleeping and cannot be disturbed. Trust me, before I left Helena, I had 2 of them come in that they wanted PIs to watch them to find out, to do an activity check, because they would call all times of the day and leave messages. When did they get a call back? Between 12 and 1 and after 5. Just suspicion, and being a fairly suspicious person, I think they're working. Wouldn't you guys? Red flag goes up, and it should. Why is it that time? Well, that could be when the alarm goes off. I don't know. Injured worker is seen with calluses on hands, grease under fingernails. May seem trivial. We have a really good case. It's being prosecuted right now. The guy is going to plead, but he needs to sell everything he's got first because we don't do any plea agreements. Our prosecutor doesn't unless she's got cash in hand, and this guy's going to need a lot of it. The guy, we have medical staff that goes out and talks to long-term claimants, injured employees. This one, they met out at a diner having for coffee, and he pulls up in a truck pulling a trailer, an enclosed trailer. He gets out. He's between 55 and 60. He's fit, and he is fit. He's tanned. He's muscular. His hands are all calloused and rough. Now that might not, you're thinking, okay, a lot of workers are that way. This guy hasn't worked in a couple of years. And he can't get out of bed. His wife had to quit her job to help him get dressed in the morning, to feed himself. He can get out of bed for no more than 1 hour a day. Suspicion would say, how'd he get fit? Goes work out for that hour? Maybe, and then lays in a tanning bed? Maybe. Red flags. Injured worker moves out of state or country shortly after filing claim. Kind of like what your question was, and this guy I'm talking about, he's in Utah. He was hurt in Deer Lodge as a prison guard. And there might be some legitimacy to his claim originally. I think he did hurt his knee when he fell and back. But he moved out of state thinking we're not going to find him. First off, you want a paycheck from us? We got to have your address. So we've got the address. Send a private investigator to the area, and lo and behold, we find them and we have them. Injured workers in line for early retirement. What we had there is a guy that worked for the city. He was going to retire in 6 months, but he wanted to leave now. So he got hurt his back. We sent out an activity check. We followed him hunting. And how'd he get into the field? On a four-wheeler. He came home, and he moved his daughter from Helena to Missoula. She's going to school, and he's carrying boxes and all that. His wife was working a little harder than him, I will give her that. But he was still doing the work. When confronted, he paid back the money, and instead of doing anything to him, the city decided to pay him out early retirement. Sometimes it pays, but that wasn't our dealing anyway. We did our job, and it just didn't work out exactly how we think. And Kirk likes to ask, what's a successful investigation? It's kind of tough to tell. A successful investigation might be that we find the person doing what they're supposed to. We often send out private investigators, and they say, I don't think that person's using crutches. Use crutches for everything. So, those are successful. We prove that everything is going right. It doesn't have to just be that they're committing a crime.